everyone, happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining me tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery patterns and kits. Thanks replay viewers for watching. If you can hear me now, you're probably watching on replay, and thanks for YouTube replay viewers for watching as well. This will go up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies when we're done here tonight. This is relax and craft time. I'm here every night at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and we chit chat and relax and craft, and we're here for about an hour and we work on a project together during that hour. And I usually work on my projects from beginning to end so you can get the entire spectrum of the project, and you can actually work with me during the evenings if you want. So tonight we are working on the punch needle again. So it's the make it 80% good. That's what it's ultimately going to say here on the front. And we're going to work on, we got the 0 here, the 8, and then I have to do the percentage sign over here yet. So we'll just go till I have to leave tonight. Deborah, the hubby, is in the air right now, and if he calls or texts, I may have to leave early so I can go run and get him from the airport. But tonight we are working on the needle punch again. So if you've heard me talk about the 80% good before, that's kind of the saying that I say throughout the day, so I stave off perfectionism. So like if I have a trouble starting a project or working on something or just getting some emails done during the day, I just think, wait, I only need it 80% good. It doesn't have to be perfect. And since I know it doesn't have to be perfect, it makes it much easier just to start, and it makes it easier to get through it and finish. So it's the thing I say pretty much every day when I just can't make myself do something. And then it's like, wait, only has to be 80% good. And chances are it's going to end up being better than that once you get starting. And it's really the act of starting that's hard. So the 80%, make it 80% good is the thing that gets me over the edge sometimes. Oh, you like that too, Deborah? That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to flip you around. This is our day 3 of working on this. Actually, day 4, if you were in my first one was on Instagram on a live story, and that was the first time I ever tried punch needle. So this is our 3rd day here on Facebook Live. So, all right, guys, I'm going to flip you around. Let's thread this needle and get going on this project. Thanks for joining me again. All right, there is my pattern where I started. Make it 80% good. I drew this and then made it in the computer after I sketched it out. Put it on a transfer, and we went through that a little bit the first few days. So you guys, if you want to check out the process of this, feel free to go to Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube. That's where we got it all going on. So here's the rest of the 8 and the 0 and the percentage sign here. So we've finished the text. Typically with needle punch, you work from the back, and then so this is the back. You work from the back, and then the front is where you get all that poofy little texture. But I was liking how this back stitch kind of look that you get from working on the back. I like that look. And when I started the type, it was just too poofy. So I decided, it was hard to read. So I decided to make the type working from the front to the back, which is typically the opposite direction that you want for punch needle. And I just like the kind of backstitch, filled in backstitch look that I got with the type. So the type is working from front to back, and the 80 and then the percentage sign is working from back to front, which is the typical way of doing it. So I'm using a whole pile of scrap floss. This is 6-strand embroidery floss. I'm using scraps that I just had. However, I kind of stayed away from the blues, and I stayed away from the black too, just because my background's blue. And I have so much of this gold, but I used a lot of that gold already. So I dug around, and look, I found a whole pile more random scraps. So I'm just using all basically garbage. Not all of it's garbage, but a lot of it I just saved for no real reason other than I can't throw the stuff away. These are pretty much big skeins here. But we're going to try and use some of this. Not all of this looks like it's 6 strands, so I'm going to stay to the 6 strands. Ooh, this blue is pretty, but that's going to blend in too much. But I just pulled this yellow out right away, and we have some yellow in here already. So why don't we add some poofy yellow to this 0 here? So that's what we'll start tonight. So that's this little kind of nook in the green. I know the bright bold blue, I think that would actually look kind of pretty on here, but I didn't use it really anywhere else, so I think it might just be too much. So I'm kind of staying away from all the blue. All right, I want to make this extra poofy, so I want to make my loops longer, so I'm going to set my needle to 8. That's kind of what I've been doing for the longer poofs, and I've been using 4 for the shorter one. So there you can see I'm moving it up to the 8. And what that does, it makes the needle shorter or longer. The longer the needle, the bigger the loops are going to be. And then the shorter the needle, the shorter the loops are. And I can show you what I mean on the front here. So like, for example, this red, you can tell it's a teeny poofier. So these loops, and these loops are all, and this guy too, are all on the level 8. So they're a little bit taller than all these other loops, which are on level 4. But it just really gives some fun texture, especially when you have the flat type that we did backwards, you know, from the front to the back. So there's just like a whole pile of texture. And I could do different levels too, but I've been just kind of sticking to 8 and 4. I think there was a 5 in here because we were just testing it out, but I'm just playing with the 8 and 4. I think that's fine. Kind of set a system and then go with it. But yeah, so let's do this little bit with the size 8. And that won't get us too far with this amount of thread, so we'll probably just fill in this little hole right there. All right, so we got our threader. The lavender is pretty. This over here, yeah, and I do have some more of the lavender, so I might pull that out and use the lavender for sure. Since there's a few things, like the yellow we only use in this tiny little spot, the lavender is only in that little spot, so it'd be good to bring back some of those colors. All right, so I'm putting my threader through it's basically got like a straw, this needle. I'll show you guys the needle again, how it's made up. So it's a straw, meaning it's hollow, and it's been basically sliced at an angle. And when you can see the angle, like you can now, that's one side and then the other side, right? And those are the directions that I stitch in. I always lead with one of those sides. So either this way or this way. I'm leading with the side. So there's the side. This is the front, the actual sliced area. That's the front. And then you can see the eye of the needle there. And then the back is where you don't see any of the slicing. You can still see the eye of the needle though. So in the instructions here, it says to lead with the side. So this side or this side, meaning whatever direction I'm stitching, I want to be aiming with, I want to be like pushing forward with one of these sides. The front is also okay, but according to the instructions, it's just slightly less desirable. So I'm trying to do it from the side. So sometimes you'll see me turn my pen or my needle. You hold it like a pen. Sometimes you'll see me turn the needle, and that's just so I can keep leading with the side. Other times I'll turn my whole entire piece, and I actually prefer that. I said this thing, like one of the aha moments when I was in kindergarten, I like remember this kind of clearly, was when I was told, move the paper, not the scissors, when you're cutting out something with the scissors. And I remember that being amazingly great information. It changed my kindergarten world. So I kind of do the same thing with punch needle, just because I found so far in like the 4 days I've been doing this, but I found that it's just slightly, it's easier on my wrist to not keep turning the pen, to turn the whole piece instead. All right, so we went through the tube, and now I'm also going through the eye of the needle. So you have to kind of thread it twice, once through the tube, and then again through the eye of the needle, which is the little hole in the needle there. Alrighty, let's get started. So I'm just going to dangle the thread behind me. If it gets caught on anything, then our loops aren't going to work. It's kind of a delicate thing here. Any tension and all your loops are going to pull out. So I'm being aware that I'm not accidentally like putting my elbow on this or something, or that it's getting caught on anything. All right, so we're going to just start, I think, in this little area here. And you know what? I think we'll just go back and forth and fill in this shape. I think I might outline the edge just so it has a nice edge, and then we'll go back and forth and back and forth. All right, so let's just start here, and I can always add more if I end up with more floss. So I'm going to try something. I saw we've been pulling this thread to the front, but I saw that other people don't do that. They just leave the thread on the back here. And since this is the back, I'd kind of prefer it back here anyway. So I'm just going to, instead of pulling it from the front, I'm just going to start. Like we were doing the other night. So there I'm going sideways. And I'm just going to make another stitch. Another punch. And punch. So there we go. Those are our first 3 stitches. Now I'm just going to turn my whole piece and go back and forth and back and forth. So again, I'm just going to lead with the side. Here's if I was leading with the front. I'm leading with the side here. I think we'll just kind of go at an angle here. So fill in this space. I think we can get one more in there. And now I'll lead with the other side, going back the other way. So that was a good tip. I forget who, someone here gave me that tip, or on the Instagram stories gave me that tip, that if I just go side to side, then I don't have to rotate my needle as much. I can just lead with the sides, one side and then the other side. And that does, like, not having to turn my hand and wrist all the time and not having to turn this all the time is just, cutting down on the repetitive stress. All right, so I just have that much thread left in the back of my needle there. So let's see how much we can fill in with that. I'm just going to keep going back and forth until this guy is filled. So I'm just making little stitches in rows that are close to each other. And I'm pushing, oh, there we go. I'm pushing all the way in. You want to go all the way in so you get the full length of the needle there. So I ran out of floss there. So let's flip it around. There we go. It's always fun. I'm always like giggling a little bit whenever I flip it around just because it's just so funny. Look how fuzzy those little yellow bits are there, and it filled in that space just really nice. So I'm going to trim that little end that we have there. Little purple scissors. So I'm not pulling on it. If I pull on this end, then this whole thing will come out. And we kind of I showed you that a little bit a few days ago. So yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know. I know I went through some of it a couple days ago, but I'm more than willing to chat about it some more. All right, let's pick another color. Maybe the lavender up in here, like that lavender down there. I think I saw some in here. Maybe not so much. Let's open up this other pile of scraps that I got. So many scraps. I mean, some of these aren't really considered scraps. They just aren't pretty enough because I took the labels off or something, or I just used a tiny, tiny bit of it. Oh, I think I have a smaller piece of lavender here. No, that's the pink. Oh, here we go. Oh man, look at this mess. Here we go, even more. Ah, there's where all that lavender is hiding. Alrighty. Geez, what a mess. Crazy, look at this. All my scraps. I'm pretty good at keeping, clean embroidery bits, but every once in a while they just sneak up on me, these scraps. All right, so we got a bunch of purple here, the pretty lavender. Let's just we could actually do this whole space with lavender if we wanted to. Why don't let's see what it looks like on the back. It might be fun to have like one tinsy bit of something else. maybe we'll do that first. Let's do it mostly lavender, but let's have like one little teeny little blip of something different. And I'm kind of, this light green is kind of popping out at me. Oh, but this is only 3 strands. I want to use 4. Why don't we do this pink? There's only a tiny little bit. We haven't used this pink yet, but we used this lavender and this other pink, so I think this is close enough. Although it'll be next to this lavender. Maybe that's too close. Yeah, we're going to go with it. 80%, right? I don't need a perfect decision. Let's just make a decision. All right, so threading the needle through the tube first. Rebecca, new here, so you don't knot the ends when you run out of color? No. So that's what makes punch needle quite a bit different than embroidery. Like embroidery, it kind of becomes part of the fabric. Like you're not able to really pull out pieces when you're done because you're tying knots, you're tucking in your ends. With punch needle, it is very, very delicate. The only thing holding the thread in is the fabric kind of gripping back at it. Like you're making a big kind of a hole in the fabric, and the fabric wants to go back to where it was. And that's what's holding the loop, and that you're poking a bunch of them close to each other, so that's making it tighter and tighter for that fabric to hold it. So that is the only thing that's holding it. So if I took any of these ends, or if I pulled on any of these loops, if I grabbed one and just pulled, it would all come out. Kind of crazy. And I can show you that. Maybe I'll show you guys that with this. I'm going to put this to level 4. Oh, we'll do another 8 one. But I'll show you what I mean by that. So it's actually a lot more delicate than hand embroidery. And that's something I kind of discovered when I started this a couple days ago, just how delicate it was. So you wouldn't necessarily want to do this directly on clothing or anything like that. To finish something that's not going to be, I'm going to keep mine in a hoop, the decorative hoop here, but you're going to want to back it with something. So when people are making rugs, so this is very similar to actual rug production, except for they're using like a big gun to poke all the little bits in. When they're doing a rug, they're actually covering the back with like a latex or some sort of polymer glue and letting that dry, and then they're backing it with more fabric. So I don't know if you have to do the glue really, but you'll want to back it with something else. So you can make patches. That would be really cute for clothing, but you're going to want to back it with another fabric just so you can't pull out all the loops. So no, you're making no knots, and it is for that reason pretty delicate. Even if you did do a knot, it doesn't really matter for punch needle because you're still, whatever you do, you're just pulling it out. I mean, you're literally just putting little loops in the fabric. There's nothing really holding it there except for the fabric itself. So even though it looks like a nice mass of thread, it's actually kind of delicate, I think. What retail store sells a good variety of this? I was just at Joann's the other day and I did not see a real good punch needle there. I'm threading the eye of the needle again. I did have a link. It's actually becoming pretty popular. I'll try and remember to put some people who sell some kits, some punch needle people that sell kits. This is the punch needle I'm using. It's the Ultra Punch. I did have a link for it, but I think they're all sold out at that link. So if you do a search for the Ultra Punch needle, I like this one. I mean, this is the first time I'm doing this. This is my first project. I started this on Saturday, and it's my first time doing it. But I did some research beforehand, and I like this needle because you can adjust the size. So I have those tall loops or those little loops. Angie, could you back with a fusible interfacing? I would guess so. I would think that would be a good idea. Again, I'm no pro at this, but just from knowing a little bit about lots of crafts, I would think that a fusible on the back would work. What a lot of people do that I've seen is they do where you sew like if this is the correct side, you would put a piece of fabric on here, like a correct side piece of fabric, so the right sides are together, the good sides are together, and then you'd sew around it and then turn it right side out. So you'd leave a hole, or you'd cut a hole in the back and you'd turn it right side out, and then you'd have a nice finished edge, and the back would be that new fabric piece. You could do that. That would protect it as well. This is the Ultra Punch, the precision adjustable needle, the Ultra Punch. So if you just do a search for Ultra Punch, they might have it. You Googled Michaels and they did not carry punch needles. If you, no, it's really, there is, but there's another name for it, but it's even less common than punch needle. If you do a search, just a general Google search for punch needle and then going to shopping, there'll be a lot there. I would actually suggest, how I learned out about it was on Instagram. I followed some punch needle people. So if you're on Instagram and you do a search for punch needle, a whole lot's going to come up. And a lot of those people, if you see anything that you like that those people are doing, a lot of them have kits that come with the fabric, it comes with the yarn or floss, and it comes with a needle. So I would kind of recommend doing that. Otherwise, I would just do a Google search for this Ultra Punch needle. I know they're around, but yeah, they're selling in places quite a bit. And I'm using one of the smaller ones because it holds my 6-strand embroidery floss really well. You'll find larger ones that have a fat tube, and that's for more like yarn and stuff, and that's what a lot of the kits are. Or if you go to Etsy, Etsy is another great place, and you go to punch needle. That's actually where I bought this punch needle, was on Etsy, and so that would be a great place to find a whole bunch. I know I saw several of these on Etsy. I did get the medium, the small, medium, large. They come in different ones. Oh, you got yours on the Home Shopping Network shopping, Grace. I'm using the medium. The medium seems to work well with the 6-strand embroidery floss, but it also came with an extra threader, it came with an extra spring, and it came with a thinner and a thicker needle. So the thicker needle, I could probably put a very thin piece of yarn in there, like maybe like a mohair or something, or even more embroidery floss. And the small one I could do like with some thinner thread or like a finer fabric maybe. So I didn't know, it was my first time doing it, so I'm like, I'll get the one that has all 3 in. But if that doesn't matter to you, I'm using the medium, and that works perfectly fine for the 6-strand embroidery floss. The spring is only for me to be able to adjust the size. So see the spring made it close and is holding it closed, and then I'm pushing on the spring here to kind of set the height. So that's the only fun purpose of the spring. If you have one where you can adjust the size, and those are available where you know the exact size and the height you want, then those don't have a spring, and those are just a tube, basically a tube with a handle, and then the cut with the eye in the tube. That's all. So all right, let's do some poofy little. Oh, I want to do it on size 8 because we're going to make these extra poofy. A couple with this pink, and then we'll fill the rest with that lavender. So why don't let's have it be like a phalange out of this gold here. That'd be kind of fun. So I think I'm just going to go back and forth again because I don't know how long this thread will last. Ideally I would draw the shape and kind of fill it in, but again, I don't really know how far this thread's going to go. So I'm just going to kind of go back and forth, and it might just be like a little rectangle or something, or I might make my rows just smaller and smaller and smaller, because then it'll kind of look like a circle or something. Oh, no problem, Rebecca. Yeah, you guys ask whatever questions and I'll do my best to answer. Again, this is the first time I'm doing this. I kind of like trying new projects here. A lot of times, there, I'm done. A lot of you guys know a lot about a topic, so I can learn a lot from you guys, and it's just one of my most favorite things ever to do is try new to me crafts and learn new techniques and everything. So I'm having a blast doing this for sure. All right, so I'm gonna snip this end so it's kind of level with my loops. If if you have a nice sharp scissors, oh, Rebecca, I'm so happy you're here. I'm glad you found me too. All right, you could actually clip all of these loops if you don't want the loops, if you want them just to all be like kind of raw edge, so it's like extra fuzzy, but that sounds like a lot of work, so I'm leaving it as loops. But there, it's kind of funny. I like it. So I think we'll just fill the rest in with that lavender, and then our 0 will be done. So we'll just fill it in. I'll probably do this outside bit here, and then I think we'll just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I'm going to do it on level 4. Let's get our threader again. But yeah, right now I think the best place to probably look for any punch needle supplies is probably on Etsy right now. I've been looking for a good source for these things, like a distributor, and a lot of them don't have punch needle stuff as much as they did earlier. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it's punch needle manufacturer issue or what, but there are a lot of people on Etsy. I'm going to just clean up this end a little bit. I don't think I need to, but it's bothering me. But I think there's just a lot of people on Etsy that sell kits. So I would, if you're just interested in the punch needle, I would just type in punch needle. If you want this one in particular, I would say Ultra Punch needle in Etsy, and someone probably is selling one. And this one, again, is good for like small little threads like embroidery floss. A lot of them are meant for yarn, which I think would be awesome. I wanna do it with yarn sometime. Maybe I'll graduate to one of the big fatter ones, and that uses different fabric and stuff too to accommodate really fat yarn. But I think those look really fun too. But I have so much embroidery scraps that I went with the one that has to do with embroidery, the little itty bitty one. All right, so like I said, I'm just going to go around this edge and back and forth, and I'm going to lead again with the side. So just to show you guys again, this is the front. The front is where you can see that cut, that slice, that angled slice. That's the front, and then you have the two sides, right? And then you have the back, which is where the thread is. So from what I've read, you definitely don't want to use the back. Like you don't want to go, you don't want to go in the direction with the back with the back. You want to lead with an edge or the front. But I've heard that the front's okay, but in the instructions for this punch needle, it said the side. So I'm going this way with one side, and I'm rotating my pen. I keep calling it a pen because I'm holding it like a pen, but I keep rotating the needle, so I'm always leading with that side edge. And then when I go back, I'll just lead with the other side. And I'm just going to go back and forth and then fill up the rest of this 0 here. You've been thinking about trying punch needle embroidery for the last month or so. So happy to catch you. Marsha, that is what it has been for me too. I've been seeing a lot of it online lately, and I've been wanting to do it for like a month, and on last week I finally got pushed over the edge. I'm like, okay, I gotta do it. I can't take it anymore. I want to learn. So I ordered this, or 2 weeks ago, and then I ordered this, and it came on Monday, and it came on last Monday, and I had to hold off because I was working. I had to hold off all the way till Saturday before I gave it a try. And then we did it. I gave it my first try in an Instagram story. All right, so it's just kind of buckling, getting like tangled up here. I'm just going to let that release a little bit because, again, any tension, and it's going to start pulling out the threads. Oh, and I was going to show you guys that. So I'm just going to stitch a few this way. But look, so nothing's holding this in. So I can pull all those out really easily. So if you don't like something, you can just yank it all out. Or if it gets caught on something, like if the thread gets caught on something, then it might do that too. So I'm just pulling it back down, and we'll keep going. So see, that's how delicate it is, really. Any pulling on the thread anywhere, and you're going to be, it's all going to come out. So I think the closer, the denser you make it, I think the more all the threads push against each other, and that helps hold things in. But again, you grab a little piece of thread on there and you pull, it's going to come out. And that's why you need to, when you're finished, that's why it's more of a decorative thing. Why it's not like embroidery where you could do it on dish towels and things that are washed all the time. It's too delicate for that, I think. But yeah, and if you're going to display it or turn it into something, you're going to want some sort of protective backing on it, really. I'm not going to do that because I'm just going to hang mine on the wall. Debbie, I am making a little wall hanging with punch needle, and it's going to say make it 80% good. So this is a saying that I keep in my head all the time, and it's basically the thing I say when I'm having a hard time starting on a project, or I'm having a hard time moving forward on a project because I want it to be good, I want it to be perfect. So whenever I get stuck, I say to myself as a reminder that you don't have to make whatever you're doing perfect. Just make it 80% good. And just thinking that makes something so much easier to start because you know it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, that email doesn't have to be perfect to that person. Whatever project you're working on doesn't have to be perfect. The colors you pick don't have to be perfect. I just shoot for 80%. Because in theory, your 80% is someone else's 100%, right? And once you actually start the project and are actually working on the project, then you figure things out along the way and stuff too. So make it 80% good is usually the thing that kind of gets me over that hump. So I say it every day, and I mentioned it here on my Facebook Lives quite a bit. So I thought that would be an appropriate thing for my first punch needle project. But yeah, whenever I get stuck or whenever I just can't get started on something, I'm just like, I just have to make it 80% good. I can do that. Let's just get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. And it's usually helpful enough to get me over that barrier of starting. So I'm just going back and forth. I'm leading with an edge again, and I'm going with the edge one way, and then I'm going with the opposite edge on the way back. So just back and forth. And this was a tip from someone on Instagram stories. So it helps me not have to turn my hand as much, because if I went around and around this shape, I would have to keep turning my piece or turning my wrist. So I keep leading with that side edge. But if I go back and forth, then I'm always leading with that edge. Oh, there we're done. Ran out of thread there. Oh, look how cute it is. All right, I love it. So I'm going to snip that little edge. Oh, Michelle, it's just like whenever if you have a project that you're just too worried about to start because you want to make sure it's good, then just saying 80% good, it kind of means, I don't have to worry about it because it doesn't have to be perfect, right? So it stops the worry, basically. And it's helpful for me to get started when I don't have to think about the worry anymore. All right, so I think I'm going to change colors just because I ran out. Might as well change colors, and I'm kind of seeing this light green here. So I think I might fill this last little tiny bit with some of this light green. And then maybe we'll jump down here and do some light green. That'd be fun. Let's fill in this shape with light green. Maybe we'll do it really poofy on level 8. Yes, exactly. We're not a stimulating reminder that we aren't perfect. Oop, what am I doing? I'm trying to thread. So I just went back to embroidery brain. I just started to try and thread my needle. I'm like, this looks weird. Why is this looking weird? It's because we're not doing embroidery. We're doing punch needle. So get that threader in there. Going on autopilot a little bit, and autopilot isn't used to this craft yet. All right, so through the tube, and then I got to go through that eye of that needle too. Let's kind of open up that threader with my fingers a little bit. It's a little tricky. Bloop. There we go. Pull that through the eye, and we're good again. All right, so I'm just filling in the rest of this 0. We still have that % sign to do on here yet, but we'll get there. Okay. So I like not pulling the thread to the front. I'll show you what I mean. So this is what we've been doing the last couple days, just because this is kind of what I was watching other people do punch needle online, and some of them did where you punch the needle in and then you flip it over and pull that thread to the front. I think it's just to have a nice clean back, because I can always trim these to size. So I think pulling it through the front like this will have you like a perfect back and a perfect front. So I think that's okay. Oh, you can't get your head around the not perfect concept, OCD kind of. You walk away for a bit, and when you come back, I'm ready to attack the project. You know, that's actually kind of that's a good way to deal with it. Yeah, I mean, it took me a lot of time to be okay with something not being perfect. I'm kind of in the world of trusting that once I get started, things will get figured out along the way. And that doing, for me, doing is the act of doing versus like figuring it out completely is more effective, because I feel like I learn a lot along the way and have like lessons along the way to finish it that I wouldn't have had just in the like research stage. And to do that, you know, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect anyway, right? So I'm just, you know, it took me a while to get that concept in my head. And I figure 80% is almost perfect, right? So 80% kind of feeds into that perfectionism a little bit, because it's just about perfect, but it's giving me a little bit of leeway to be like, okay, I'm human and I'm going to try and make this thing perfect, but it's not the end of the world, because really the assignment was only 80%, right? So I can pretend that it's like someone else telling me that, oh, we only need 80% of your best. Even though I'm shooting for the best yet, but it's just like a level of it being okay. An okay feeling. All right, I think that's it. I wonder if I can pull this. So I haven't done it this way. Usually I just snip it. Well, yeah, we'll do it this way. I turn it to the front, and then we'll snip. Oops. Sorry, I shook you guys a little bit. I'll get you to stop and wiggling in a sec once I can snip this. I haven't mastered this yet. I feel like there's another way to be holding this, like, because it's pretty awkward. All right, I'll stop you from moving there. So I was kind of wondering that too, Donna, if you could incorporate this technique into a quilt. I think it would be beautiful. However, it is so delicate. Like I said, if I pull on one of these strings right here, I might pull the whole thing out. Like if I pull on this thread, it'll pull out. So, you know, a quilt is kind of meant to be used and washed and, you know, handled a lot. So I suspect that it's probably not the best use. Although this is how rugs are made, very similar to this. But again, rugs they're putting a coat of glue on the back and then covering it with some other pieces of fabric. So it's that glue and that other fabric that's protecting it. Otherwise, it's kind of the same thing. You could pull out the pieces of a rug. So yeah, I don't know if I would recommend it. But yeah, for a wall quilt, Joe, I think that would be beautiful. You could definitely do it, something that's more of a display, like a wall quilt. I think that'd be kind of amazing. For sure. But yeah, with a bunch of like pretty fabrics and stuff. Oh, so the other question mark about that, putting it into a quilt, a typical quilt with quilting weight cotton, from what I've read, you're not supposed to use 100% cotton, like quilting weight cotton or cotton muslin. You're not supposed to use that because this supposedly, again, this is only what I've read, but supposedly the needle here can cut into the threads and like cut holes into the thread. So this is 100% cotton, but it's more like a canvas. It's a lightweight jean fabric. Oh, Donna, it would cut in. So Donna knows. Donna said it would cut. This would cut the fabric backing. So you don't want to use 100% cotton. Weaver's, what is it called? Weaver's cotton, I think, is what's recommended often with these punch needles. And that's like 50% cotton and 50% polyester, which makes it a little stronger versus the cotton. But I've also heard that you can do like a cotton canvas because that's kind of a heftier thread, heftier weave. Oh, weaver's cloth. That's what it is. I knew it sounded weird in my head. Weaver's cloth. So if you do a search for weaver's cloth, I think that's that 50% cotton, 50% polyester, or some sort of variation of that. Or a canvas. This is, you don't want to do something so thick because I think it'd be hard to punch through. This is a lightweight jean and it's working super swell. Yeah, and and then it's different if you go up to the largest or to a larger size. Then you're using like something that you use bulky yarn in or something that you'd use like a monk's cloth or something else. Joyce says that she uses cotton canvas or duck cloth. Oh, great. So this is probably pretty similar to a cotton canvas. It's just like some jean fabric. And yeah, duck is thicker too. So that's pretty thick. So you are going through some pretty hefty stuff. So yeah, so you don't want some lightweight quilting weight cotton or muslin because that will cut through, but a heavier cotton like a canvas or duck or a jean seems to work. Sorry, no, I don't know anything about any of this. Oh, Donna, I am just learning too. Oh no, yes, I'm just figuring it out here too. But I think a wall hanging would be cute. So yeah, but you could do a quilt still, and then the pieces you did with this could be, on a jean or a cotton canvas, and then all the pieces that you sew around it could be, pieced with normal quilting weight cotton. So I think it would look super amazing. I forgot what I was doing here. Oh yeah, I was going to fill in the bottom of this 8 here. Ooh, let's do it on size 4 or size 8. We'll make poofy little ones. Poofy green bits down here. We'll go up the edge a little bit. But we'll for sure fill in this bottom space here. I think let's start with the let's start with the side just so I can have the nice edge. We'll make it go like I think I'm just going to fill it in right here because I think I want the shorter ones because these are really close to each other, this 8 and the 0, and I don't want them to totally blend together by having a lot of poofiness. So I'm just going to have this green go to about here and fill in this shape, and then we'll switch maybe to that lavender or something again, or pink. We don't have any pink in this 8 yet. All right, so let's punch it. We'll have it go up to here. So I'm just going to go on the edge here. And you know what? Let's pull this to the front. So I'm doing the size 8 again, which is the taller poofs, or the height, I guess, not size. It's more the height. So again, I'm leading. I'm going in the direction, and I'm leading in that direction with an edge. And you punch all the way in because that gives the height of the loop, punching it all the way in. if you don't punch in all the way, then your loops won't be all the same level. So again, I'm just going to go back and forth. I could go around and around this shape, but again, it's much easier to go back and forth. Just lead with one edge one way and then go back with that other edge, since you want to lead with those side edges. Much faster, I think, now that I'm getting a little bit of the hang of this. So I'm kind of going up against the stitches from before. That's just going to make it more dense. But you can go a little further apart if you want to, if you don't want your loops to be so densely placed. But man, once you get in a rhythm, you tend to keep doing it pretty similarly. So my thread back here, I'm going to just unwind it a little bit, because again, any tension on this, and it's going to start pulling out my loops. And I'll be like, why is this coming out? And I'll realize my elbow will be on the thread, or the thread will be caught on something. But it's annoying because it'll keep popping out as I'm stitching, and I'm like, why is that happening? And then once I fix the thread issue, like if it was hooked on something or getting caught, then it works again just fine. Could you talk about the hoop you're using? Oh, I may have missed it. So I'm using a hoop that is kind of new on the market a little bit. They're from Auburn Hoops. I do have a link for them. They're just a small company that is making them, like a husband and wife team, I think. And it's auburnhoops.co, C-O. And all right, we're done with this. And I have a link for them here. I wanted to give them a try. I've never used these hoops before. I heard a different punch needler say that they're great for holding fabric really taut. So with punch needle, you want to make sure your fabric's taut. So one thing you could do, this is just a normal embroidery hoop, and I've wrapped the inner hoop with just some fabric, and that should help hold it in tighter, because you just want to make sure that it's taut, because you are kind of pushing on it over and over again with the punch needle. So you want it nice and taut. So anything to make your piece more taut. So a lot of people do it on frames where you can kind of stretch it and hook it on little tacks almost. But I wasn't going to go all that for my first time doing it. So, but I was interested in these hoops, so I thought I'd give that a try. But if you just wrap a normal embroidery hoop, that should make it hold the fabric tight enough, I would think. But these are Auburn hoops, and by these I mean I have another one here. But look how pretty they are. They're like different shapes and stuff. This one I'm gonna embroider a little lion's head in this, I think, because look, it's scalloped. It looks like a little lion's mane. But they're kind of an interesting design. So it has this kind of like rubber or like PVC or something hoop, and that goes into this little groove that's in the hoop. It's kind of a neat design. Let's get it in there. And that really holds the fabric taut. So, and then you take the leather here and really yank it out. It's helpful to like put it against your body. But that's the Auburn hoops. Again, it's a new hoop, or new to me hoop. I think they're relatively new, like a year or so, or maybe 2 years old, this company. And I think they're trying to get a patent on this design as well too. And I've been, the punch needle and the hoops, these Auburn hoops, I've been ogling forever, and then I just went over the edge and had to get them. So I'm combining them. I think they're working amazingly for this so far, Michelle. It is, you got to kind of work at it to get the fabric in there, and it was a little tough to center or get this where I wanted to in the hoop because it is holding it so tight. I think if you don't want to go all out, just get a normal embroidery hoop and then wrap the hoop with some fabric. I think that will give you enough tension for sure. I would just do this normally. I I don't need this hoop for sure. I just thought it was pretty. And I wanted to frame this in like a pretty hoop. I just like the concept of a hoop being decorative, and so I've been eyeballing them for a while, and I wanted to give them a try. But you don't need it for sure, especially if it's your first time. But I think they're beautiful, and so far they're working great. So, okay. Let's see. They're a little heavy. The wood is smooth because they sand it all nice. They are a little heavy. I mean, they have ones like the shape of Texas, which are huge, and that would be really heavy. But for punch needle, I've been kind of leaning it on the table as well. And, you could embroider it in a different hoop if you're worried about it being heavy, and then put it in the hoop to frame it when you're done. But it's okay. I mean, it is heavier than a normal hoop, but I've just been setting it on the table for some leverage, or my lap for leverage, and, that's been working swell. But they are pretty, aren't they? I think they're just really sweet. Oh, I see my husband just popped in on my Facebook Live, which makes me think that he might have landed. But he hasn't texted me yet, so maybe he's still in the plane. But we're here for a few more minutes yet. Oh, hi, watching from the plane, landed, you're getting a taxi. Okay, so I guess I don't have to pick up the hubs. So he landed. The nice thing is that we just live so close to the airport, so we can just get back and forth really easily. I guess I don't have to go because he said he's getting a cab. All right, so I still have some of this green on the needle yet. I hate when I have thread on it still. I hate taking it out because it just takes a little while to thread. So I think why don't we jump over to one of these circles on this percentage sign, and I actually want to try something. So they had in this Ultra Punch needle, they had a cool idea here for like contouring. So they're doing this circle, but look, they're doing it like with a height 2, then a height 3, height 4, height 5, and then back down again. So they're actually making it kind of like contoured. So I thought that would be kind of fun. So why don't we try that for one of these circles? So I think I'll go around the outside. We'll start on, let's start on like 3. Well, I won't make it around too far. So let's start on 4 and then go to 6. Well, let's go 4, 5, 6 and then see how that works. I think this will just be kind of silly and fun. So we'll start on the outside. I'm going to pull this through to the front again. I'm going to give this little contouring a go. Actually, I think I want to start on 3, because then it will look like it's a little closer to the fabric. I haven't done a number 3 here yet. All right, so we're just going to go around the outside. Flip this up. So he must, I don't think he checked a bag or anything, so I think he did not want to wait for, the 10 minutes it would take me to get to the airport. He just wanted to get home. Okay, so now you can see I'm kind of just turning my whole piece. I could just turn the needle too. That would probably make more sense in this case. All right. So that's the first round. So now I'm going to go up a level. We're going to try this contouring thing out. So now I'm going up to level 4. Now we'll go around again. And we're going to go around on the inside of that. And I'm going to just turn the needle this time. I'm not going to turn the whole piece. But yeah, now I'm turning the needle so it's always angled at the side. Oh, I know who put their dog in the overhead compartment. Yeah, that's super scary. Super duper scary. All right, and then we'll go to size 5. Loosen my little threads over here again. go around once more, and then I think we'll go, I think let's just fill the rest of this with size 5, because then it'll have like a flat top versus like coming to a point. So remember, I'm rotating my needle while doing this, so I'm always leading with the front. All right, and that's that. Let's snip it. Okay, I think that totally worked. Let's take a look at it in a sec here. There's got to be an easier way to do this. I know I'm not doing this well, the trimming at the end. All right, I think this totally worked. We made a poof. Let's trim it and then I'll show you guys. So what we did again is we did the outside of the skirt of the circle with a lower level, and then as we got to the inside, we got it up. We went higher and higher. So we kind of made like a little poof. I'm just kind of framing it a little bit. So there we go. It starts out like little on the sides, and then it's rounded. So it's kind of like a little round button we got going on there. So you could really play around with that and do some silly things. But I think that's pretty cute. I like it. I think we'll do that with the other one too, because why not? There's one little poof that's a little higher, but again, who cares? So that's neat. I like that. So I think that we'll probably end it there tonight, guys. So we got the whole 0 done, though. I'm stoked about that. And we got a lot of this 8 done. So I think, oh, so I'm not going to be here on tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. So I'll be back here on Monday. So if I don't have my sewing machine yet, we'll just finish this up. We are almost done. Why don't we just finish this 8? We got the little bit of the percentage sign here. We can see better on the back. We just have this part of the percentage sign. Yes, it's like a little half pom-pom, totally. Oh, I love that. And then just this 8, we'll fill all these in super duper quick on Monday. And then I also want to do that thing where I finish off the hoop really nice. So I'll show you how to do that as well. And I don't know if we'll get all that done on Monday, but we're almost done with this project. Why don't we just finish it, and then we'll pick up on our sewing project again. So look at all that crazy texture. So much fun. So, all right, guys, that is it. I'm going to flip you guys around, and we'll get going. Hello again. Oh, this would be a great project, Gretchen, for a car trip, like for sure, I think. Unless you're like bumping around and stuff, then that would be, then it would be a little more difficult. I'm just trying to get this not to shake here. Sorry, guys. It'll be a little bit more difficult, but I think this would be good. I think I'll bring it home just to show my mom, because I think she was interested in doing on it. Yeah, so I'm leaving it in the frame, Paula, but mostly because it's going to end up in the frame. I'm going to ultimately leave it in this frame. I don't know if I would leave it in the frame or not between sessions, but I kind of think I would. But I would also want to use a frame big enough that, you know, if I was worried about like this little edge getting crinkled in the final piece, then I would maybe use a larger frame or one of the big square frames that kind of clamp or that you can actually grab. They make special frames for punch needle that actually grip onto the fabric with like claws, almost like little like nails almost. And you know, if I was doing a bigger piece that it mattered, I'd probably try and put it on there. I don't know if you really want to take it out while you're doing it, because you want that tension, because that tension is kind of holding the whole thing together. But yeah, I think we'll try and finish this up on Monday or Tuesday, and look how poofy it is. It's so weird. It's going to look weird on the wall, but I like it. It's a fun new craft for me. I am having so much fun with it. Here's kind of the size. And yeah, thanks for all your questions tonight and for joining me. And yeah, I'll be back on Monday visiting the family. We're driving tomorrow and Thursday, so or Thursday. Thursday is tomorrow. And I'll be back on Monday. So Monday at 8:30 p.m. and we'll wrap this up. And then we'll be back to the charming chevrons quilt. by Krista Watson of Krista Quilts. And my machine, my sewing machine, will hopefully be back from the shop then as well. So I'll get this up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies right now, and that will be that. Oh yes, and happy St. Patrick's Day to all of y'all. That'll happen when I'm gone, so happy St. Pat's, and have a great rest of your week. See you on Monday. Boop. Good night, guys.